So your journey into all your bodies needs not to be led by your mind. This isn't memory retrieval, right? It's something else. It's sensation retrieval, right? It's like, it's time traveling sensations and realizing continuity. And it doesn't have to be memory stuff. Sometimes memory comes. In fact, I'm much happier when I can get to, I loosely call, a version of myself where I don't have to have memories, but I remember sensations. I remember the very first time I got out of the shower before school and heard the end of this crazy song that I've loved my entire life, called Black Waters by the Doobie Brothers. Anyone know that song, right? I can remember the moment that I heard that song for the first time. I loved that boy that then went on the hunt to try to find that song. Anyone else? Bachman Turner Overdrive, Ballroom Blitz. I think it's Bachman Turner Overdrive. Anyone know the song Ballroom Blitz? That was another song back then, right? This is
Tiger.
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah. I mean, all of these things are like, it doesn't all have to be this heavy crap you all, right? There's treasure troves. You're a treasure chest of times, right? So the ones that bubble forward can be the parts of you that you admire. Don't let your mind lead everything. Don't let shitty things lead everything. This is what I love about a yoga practice. I know when to come out of a pose. Don't you? I know when it's like bugging me too much, right? I know, and it's not your mind. Your mind needs not to lead all the time, because your mind is subject. I mean that on multiple levels, right? So the idea, it's the mind. I write this thing in the afterword of the paper book copy of Waking that I think can get misunderstood. I wrote something like, and I would state it a little bit, but minds break, hearts don't, right? It's your mind that breaks in anticipation of protecting you from fear, right? One thing I like about the body, have you noticed that the body is actually the only truly faithful part of your consciousness, right? It actually, for as long as it can go, will keep going. Like it actually persists. Your mind doesn't. Your mind jumps in and out of stuff. Your body's the faithful, persistent, life-solving part of your consciousness. It solves the living problem. It does it every single moment. And mostly it does it out of your control, right? It just goes about its business. It's like the person that cleans up after the parties. That's magical, and maybe you're that person in your household, but your body's the one, the custodian in the building that keeps everything moving and going. That's the one that we somehow forget is so freaking cool. It's gonna, I just ate a piece of peanut butter toast. It's taking care of it right now. I got it going. I get the linger of the flavor in my mouth, but right now it's going because it just does its job. It's an amazing freaking resource. And when I say, like, does anyone notice that in your yoga practice that that exactly when you need to ground or do a passive chest opening or surrender a little bit is when your mind doesn't want to? Like, you avoid it because your mind's of the space that you need to heal is exactly the space that your mind's afraid of. The energy that allows for transformation, right, is exactly the energy that the mind thinks there's shadows in, right? So the mind avoids. This is why I love the consistency of a yoga practice. You need to get to where your practice, you don't choose to do it or not, you just do it. Mm-hmm. The mind's not the leader of your yoga practice, right? It needs to learn to come from a different part of you. It's not, oh, do I feel like practicing today? No, that's not the question. All right, so dang, what's the resource? So start to ground. Anyone have any comments about the class? You guys are all struck mute by these classes? All that energy I put out there, are you kidding me? And this is what you get back in return?
I've been struck mute by Bethany, actually, to be quite honest.
She strikes me mute all the time.
Exactly. I mean, but I just put something in the chat that I wrote this morning. Matthew, I don't know if our wavelengths, and this would be a scary fucking thing, go on the same kind of benders, but how to enter it. But anyway, it says access and trauma walk hand in hand, and the safe place is the bond. So we do a lot of access work, and as soon as we do access work, we bump into trauma, because trauma is the antithesis of the opposite force of access. The hand in hand, the place of safety is the only place that you can deal with, and yoga gives you that place of safety to be in. But yeah, you've tripped me out with a lot of internal looking and trauma, and actually bumping up in our collaborative areas that we work in our company with that, because of the impact of we have on the population that is brutalized. And so we, living it from the brutalized standpoint, have to bring our trauma with us, but we have to have a safe place. Thank you very much, Matthew, and Mind Body Solutions for providing that safe place that we can allow that to emote up and know that we have help, even before, after, during the call, to say, help me, Mr. Wizard, please beam me up and take me back to safety. So I don't know. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Matthew, and all that wonderful staff that supports you. This is an absolute gem, miracle, and we should all be sending Matthew a whole lot more money because of what.
Send it to Mind Body Solutions.
There you go. I'm working it. He did not pay for this announcement. I pass. How about that?
Yeah. All right. So the thing about it too is that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that the mind gets attenuated to the hard memories, right? And so and then the mind's afraid of those things. So the safe place turns out to be the persistent body, as long as the mind can actually stay in the present, right? Or at least let the past be the past. So sit up straight and tall. Start to feel more rather than less, because the sensation of openness and the sensation of safety actually comes from the space around you, hopefully, and in the space inside of you, right? And, I think about little kids. I did this program one time trying to train not health professionals, but support staff at the YWCA who were supporting at-risk kids, youth kids, right? I'm so lucky I didn't form in a dangerous household. Maybe some of you did, right? But it's like that was one of the places where you're trying to get the caregivers not to have their minds break when they think about the kids, what they're living in, right? So you had to teach them to ground. right? Because when you start to think about little kids in that situation, it gets really painful, right? Because you know your own innocence, right? And the resource of your body is actually still there. Just so you know, nothing can take your body away from you, right? Even injury, right? So soften your jaw, the inside of your mouth. So it's really easy to make the extraordinary ordinary. We do it all the time. Like I've been trying to tell you, we do it with memory. We think memory is just not a big deal. It's like, oh my God, it should make us all lie down and sleep, right? The fact that you can influence the future is like really freaking cool. It's really easy to make the extraordinary ordinary. But what's great is that we're really good at making but we know how to take refuge in the ordinary. So this centering you're doing, I've been trying to tell you, is extraordinary. It's maybe the sensation of eternity. The emptiness is maybe the sensation of safety. It just needs to stay alive. The body already does that. So it turns out that the body already animates the space you're afraid of. So connect to your sitting bones, soften the jaw, the inside of the mouth, relax the base of the tongue, and let the empty space in the center of your chest start to go upward, but rooted, right? So you lift your chest. You ground it by broadening between your shoulder blades. You watch the introduction of movement with your inhalation and your exhalation. It's really important to discover in your yoga practice, both for your asana and for the quality of your life, to realize there's a difference between your mind's presence and the observer of your experience. They are not the same thing. That's why I object to the word mindfulness all the time. There's a neutral observer here, and it's not your mind. It's the happening. The mind's going to lead you to shipwreck a lot of the times. There's always a siren singing you to shipwreck. Radiohead. There's another resource. Don't reduce it to your mind. Feel your body. Your nervous system is deeper than your mind. It's already integrated. Open to the space behind you, around you. Feel the strength of your body, of your bones. Be in this space. Be alert. Alert stillness where your kidneys are, mid-back. Drop at your groins. Feel your heels. Extend the length in your neck. Feel the space between your ears and your shoulders on the outside of your bodies. You are strong here because you have a body. If you can, bring your hands into prayer. If not, just stay symmetrical. So you've got an indication of the midline. Let your hands be a mirror, an outer expression of your spine. If you don't have your hands out in front of you, let your midline be your leader. Re-soften the jaw, the inside of your mouth. Re-feel the strength and the uprightedness that's possible right in the middle of this cacophony of experience. It is so full and you're still steady. Let go of your day and prepare your mind to do yoga. Good. And then release your hands down to your thighs, palms up. Lift your sternum up towards your chin. Ground with a life action. Fire. It's like a, not fire, it's like a glow that comes up through your spine because you're not afraid of the earth. Feel your sitting bones and feet down and rise the sternum. Drop the chin to cool it down to stay humble. Re-soften the inside of your mouth. Let your rib cage pulse with your breath. The inhalation, the exhalation, the expansion on inhalation, the extension and grounding of the spine on exhalation. As the air dissipates, you get sturdier. But start it again. And then back to the midline. It's chaotic and you're sturdy. It's full and you're empty. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. So the mind's going to withdraw from empty space and try to guard against it. Your body doesn't have to, right? So let's get length in the low back again, because I think it matters. So whether you're coming down on your legs, if you're putting your hands on a table, right? And so what I want to do, so I'm not just coming forward. I know that horizontal and vertical extension need to intersect. And the more I do that, the more powerful I am, right? My agency is in and because of my body, not because of my mind. Okay, so your mind's not in control of everything. So as you're leaning forward and you're grounding on your legs, right? I'm not just leaning forward. I want to broaden across the sacrum, broaden across between the shoulder blades. And then as I hit, and then down through my heels and extend the top of my head. So I'm hitting down with my sitting bones and I'm broadening and lengthening, right? I'm literally trying to move my torso in every direction, right? Vertical, horizontal. I'm not doing it so hard. See, I was just overdoing it. So I started to spasm on my inner edge of my left shoulder blade. So I have to pull back, reorient. Good, and then release. Have you noticed that there's a tendency when you start to do a pose and your life, there's a tendency when your will starts getting involved, there's a tendency to have it interfere with your breathing, right? So your mental focus will tend to steal from the breath of your body, right? And that's part of what you're practicing yourself out of. So come forward again. So we're going to get all this intensity of horizontal extension, vertical extension, so down through the sitting bones, up through the top of the head, lift out of the collarbones, broaden across the sacrum, broaden between the shoulder blades. As you do that, go down through your legs, because once you open the doorway this way, you can go up and down better, right? with more fullness. When you go horizontally, the vertical extension gets more grounded instead of forced, right? But as you're being focused like this, and I keep my hands folded when I do this because I want more contact here, right? I want more contact, right? And now I know it's going to be easy to be really focused on my upper body because I'm paralyzed. So now I've got to take the surrender to find my legs. You lucky people that have a direct reference to your legs don't have to surrender to get there. But because you can get there too fast, you don't surrender enough, right? So you need to do both. And so now I'm starting with my hands, right? I'm trying to bring the webs of my hands closer together. So I'm starting to initiate headstand, right? I'm starting to get that action. If you're not doing that, right? Find your midline, ground through the sitting bones and lift through the sternum. But now I've got my chest involved. And so I've got this connection between my hands. Now I'm going to lengthen, I'm going to hit down through my sitting bones and lengthen through the top of my head. So I want my neck to stay long. I don't want it to shorten like this, right? I want it to lengthen. So I'm keeping my chin slightly tucked. I'm hitting down through my sitting bones. I'm just activating the vertical extension through my spine, right? And I'm hitting down through my sitting bones, lengthening my neck out to the top of my head, keeping a touch to my midline. If you can't do it with your hands, do it with your forearms, right? Right. So I'm getting all that. So I'm getting the vertical. And now I'm going to remember the broadening across the sacrum, broadening across my heels, broadening the space between my shoulder blades, and lifting under my collarbones. What the hell? How do I do all that? Practice it. Good. And then release. Whew. So remember, B.K. Iyengar will say that even his very best students can only do 4 or 5 things at a time mentally, right? That's his very best students, and we're not in that category, right? So that means my practice has to take the place of my mind being aware. My practice will emanate out of my body towards my mind, right? It retrains my mind to do more than it can do on its own. So I'm taking a break here. I'm going to go back a little bit, right? Now I can already tell it. What for me was that was a very intense thing I just did, right? So I need to get it lighter again, right? So I'm moving around, trying to make it lighter again. Trying to do a little nice back bend, maybe things we always do, like, getting a little bit more open. Because my intensity, remember, focus is one of the limbs of yoga, right? But can I focus without narrowing the consciousness of my overall consciousness, right? And what we're trying to tell you is that in order to focus and not narrow the manifestation of your experience, you need to shut the mind up and find the observer. Right? The one that remembers that there's lightness in my body, even when I'm willing, when I'm using my will, right? Because this part of me, when I start to focus with my mind, I'll cover up this energy. I'll throw dirt right over it, right? Because I think, oh, in order to succeed, I have to try harder. That's the mind talking to you about will and focus. Right. All right. So now come back to center. So you've got a little bit of lightness again. I'm going to bounce a little bit because I want some rhythm in here. Because I know as soon as my mind starts trying to lead this damn pose, I'll kick dirt all over the lightness. All right. I'll cover it up. So I'm going to sit here and take a picture of it again. Like, oh yeah, oh, Christ, see, I already shut down my neck. Like, what the hell? So I'm trying to get it so I can stay light. Now I'm going to come back to this pose again. And before I start doing all the things that are going to make my focus narrow because my mind's going to think it's in charge, right? I'm going to make sure I stay connected to Shavasana. I stay connected to my sense of wholeness. I stay connected to a sense of lightness, right? And then I start to activate, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to stay. So it turns out that things help me, little tricks help me. When before I start my focus, I tell you, I left the sensation of the skin on the sides of my neck. So I'm going to try to feel my skin. Remember, I have skin before I start activating. Remember that there's the room around me. My chest can stay lifted. If I keep my chest lifted, I can touch the room around me. If I keep my chest lifted, I can find my sitting bones. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm staying light as I'm about to focus. The staying light is not coming from my mind. It's coming out of my body. Right? So now I'm going to start to activate. So now I'm bringing my fingers together and my forearms down. I'm starting to find the midline. I'm starting to extend my sitting bones, lift my chest, stretch out to the top of my head, get the beginnings of headstand, right? So I'm lengthening my neck. And as I lengthen my neck, good, and then release. As I lengthen my neck, I want you to get the length of your neck. And as you do that, I want you to feel down to your sitting bones, right? I don't want you to push down to your sitting bones only. I want you to figure out how to make the connection. So here I'm starting over again. I'm bringing something in, however you connect to your midline. I'm doing it through the webs of my fingers, right? I'm activating when I bring my fingers together. I'm thinking of people that can't bring your fingers together like this, the webs of your fingers. What I really want, and it's harder to do, what I really want is an activation of my very low abdomen as my fingers go together, so I can find my midline, right? So if you're not being able to do anything with your hands, you're going to have to ground and pull towards the midline, right? Try to lift your toes. That might be a way to do it too. All right, so I'm forward. I'm trying to remember the lightness. So already I let go of it, so I'm having to retouch my skin. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to time travel right now. I'm time traveling in my own asana, right? I'm conjoining sensations through time. So now here starts the focus. I start to go, and I'm trying to go, wait. As I start to feel the feedback loop and my mind starts to go, oh, I get that. I'm not afraid of that anymore because I'm in control, or the illusion of control. As I bring my fingers together, I'm feeling the sides of my neck. I'm feeling my sitting bones. I'm starting to lengthen my neck to hit down through my sitting bones. I'm broadening across the shoulders. I'm broadening the space between the shoulder blades, right? As I hit down through the sitting bones. So my intensity and my focus is coming. As I feel more from my body, I forget the space around me. So the observer has to the mind has to do what it's doing, and my skin now has to be part of my presence in the room. I have to find a different way other than my activation to stay connected to the whole room. It cannot be all done by your mind. Breathe. Good, and then release. All that talk for 5 seconds of yoga, yeah, actually that is correct. All that talk for 5 seconds of yoga. So now I'm letting it all drop. I'm remembering that not everything has to be harder, right? So I'm opening up again, right? Because I want to keep this sensation and learn to keep it while I come into focus. Here I come back into focus again, right? So I'm now realizing why I want my skin to be touching the space around me, right? And so now I'm finding the midline again. I'm doing all these things. I'm lengthening. I'm lifting out through the top of my head. I'm hitting down through my sitting bones, right? So this is trying to be more like an inversion than upward facing dog. They travel in different directions. So I'm lengthening out through my neck, hitting my shoulder blades down through my sitting bones, broadening across my collarbones, broadening the space between my shoulder blades, hitting down through my heels, And in this smaller room, I'm feeling my breath. And I'm using my skin to stay connected to the whole room. By the way, the whole room never left your pose. It was perpetually present. Good, and then release. Kind of makes you want to twist, doesn't it? Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Take the mind, you like know what you need to do in a practice, right? That intensity makes me lose my breath. Good, and so I'm doing this one gentle, right? Because I want it gentle. Other arm up, over. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Okay. Then I'm going to come forward again. If you can, onto a table. Get your elbows underneath you, right? Bring your hands together. Lengthen the skin on your palm. Up, connect the heel of your hands. Down to the elbows, up to the chest, down to the sitting bones, down to the feet. Now my breath activates, expand. My exhale returns to the midline. Constantly ebbing and flowing. Soften the jaw. Feel the empty space between your ears and your shoulders. Connect the empty spaces between your ears. Let it travel through the center of your head as you lift your chest. Breathe. Find your legs. Good. And then release. I'm thinking all this focus, I should use it and take up more space. So I'm going to take my legs. Oh, clearly my groins are tight again. Right, so taking my knees apart, going forward, taking my knees apart. I've done this pose the last few weeks, so I'm adding rhythm, movement, lift. Right? So we did all this narrowing towards the midline. Now I want you to have the midline go up through your knees, from your hips to your knees, down through your feet, and change gravity by coming forward. So start to watch and then go back. Start to watch all the things in play. You get the body ready to receive. You change gravity. You open. I'm going to hang here for a while because, dang, I think I like it. So I'm going to breathe here for a little bit. And then back. So now we're going like this and like that. Right? So through the midline, out to the legs. Now if somebody will hear and put a hand on the back of my sternum, what would that feel? What would that do to my face? Well, if that were here and I were letting in that relief, I'd want it to get to my legs. Okay, so now I'm going to come forward, feel that calming presence, that safe place Bill was talking about. But as I feel that, I'm going to push my arms down into my legs. So I make sure the relief makes it to the earth as I rise up. That's the thing about standing pose. energy's going towards Earth, and energy's going towards the sky, right? And gravity's changing in standing pose, right? So then I'm going to remember the midline again. So I did all this focus on the midline and bring my legs back together. And even if you can't move your legs wide, you can do this. You can like get this change, right? So let's just do that. Midline, expanded, midline, expanded. I'm thinking about Gay right now, who maybe can't move like that. So what would you do to all of us, like if you couldn't move your knees closer and further apart, what would you do to get what you get when you do this? Right? Well, I'd shift slightly forward on my sitting bone. I'd let gravity go down. And I would try to receive. That's what one of the things I get when I go wide, right? Something happens to my chest. So if you're not able to move your knees at all apart, on the inside, draw a line from your tailbone out to across the sacrum and out through the knees. And as you do, try to lift your chest. Right? So I'm teaching the very inside, trying to show the very inside of what I get and what you get when you take your legs. So I'm going back to my leg spine. And so that practice that was more focused now gets more expression, right? But in the expression, it dissipates. It's not quite as clarifying. So, Gay, all is not. She's still on the call. There she is. Then, of course, I'm going to vary gravity a little bit. And I'm going to go sideways. And a lot of this. Right? So even if you can't move very far and push down on your own femur bone, even a slight shift in gravity, I get to get lucky and do that. Right? I get to separate different parts of my body. So I'm pushing down on my own femur bone. I'm lifting with my chest and I'm grounding my bones down as my spine goes up. Now, as I come out of the pose, I'm watching my legs, not being mindful of my legs. The observer is watching, right? And then I'm going to go the other way. And I'm hooking my hand on my foot pedal. I'm by hook or by crook, I'm staying grounded, right? So I can tell if I roll this forward, my energy collapses. I take the shoulder blade in, down, and lengthen my spine. This action becomes normal. It starts to make sense. Try it again. Right? If I do this from my spine, right? Right, then the action actually becomes an outcropping of the sensation. Because my spine is active. And then release. How many people who can move really well who is just doing this as a throwaway action? Right? Like, oh, I'll just take my arm up and then I'll find. No, why don't you actually do everything else? So if you never get your arm up, it doesn't even matter. Right? You just get to prove more. Breathe. So now, watch the presence shift as I move gravity. So that presence is coming to the brain the whole time. That shift energy, you're just trying to calm your mind down to receive what's already there. I'm going the other way now. I'm watching all the parts, right? We drop this down, look at all that happens. So my spine now is doing the pose. That's window dressing. But it's fun, right? And then release. I'm going to do that side again because I did it too short, right? Good. And then back together. Button it up. Lift the chest. Take a moment. Breathing. Now I'm going to speed up time. Right? I'm going to go faster now. Right? And I'm going to watch what's lost. Find the midline. Speed up time. Give you all sorts of instructions. Ground. Inhale. Take the arm up as you shift. Exhale. Back to the midline. Ground. Inhale. Take the arm up. Right, so now we're moving pace, right? But can I stay present with the whole, even though I'm moving faster, right? So as I move faster, take a break, come back to the middle. So as I move faster, my mind needs to allow the presence to be a given, not my mind to be aware of my presence. So I'm going to sit in the midline here for a second. Allow the wash of Shavasana. Allow the calming energy to be here. Right? It's not that as I'm moving, I'm going to try to be aware of this. I'm going to start the movement, allowing this part. Right? Your mind does not allow stuff very well. Right? So now I'm going to start going fast. Over, up, down, ground, over, up, down, ground, over, up, ground, down. Right? Now I'm going to inhale, up, down on exhale. Over, up, down on exhale, back to the midline. Coming forward. Grounding my forearms on the table or on my thighs. Some people are having a hard time hearing me. I need to yell more? F that. Whatever. I had to come to the table to read my freaking text. It's Bethany yelling at my ass. Right? Whatever. You saw what was happening. Figure out your own instructions, for God's sakes. There's nothing magic being said. All right, whatever. So I know that in shoulder stand, I'm going to be lifting my chest and dropping my chin. So I've got my forearms on the table, or my forearms, my elbows on my lap, and I'm lifting my sternum. And then I'm dropping my chin. So I'm separating the sensations. Remember, if my body can be in pieces, my mind can be one. So I'm lifting my sternum, dropping my elbows, lifting my chest. And then I'm going to drop my chin. And then I'm going to collapse again. I was talking all nice, and then you guys are telling me you can't hear me. Whatever. All right. I'm not talking nice anymore, especially if you're wearing a striped shirt, right? And then lift the sternum, drop the chin. What? I'm preparing for shoulder stand. I'm using upward facing dog to prepare for shoulder stand. What? Good. And then release. Those two have nothing to do with each other. All right. Inhale, take your arm up. Phew. Corridor down as you raise up. Up, corridor down. Now I'm going to screw my head up. I'm going to do the same energy, and I'm going to drop my arm. Up, down. Okay. Up, down. Down through the sitting bones. What? So now I'm going to go up without moving my arm while going down. Take your arm behind you. What? I'm going up with what? Where are my arms? Who tied my arms behind my back? I still have to go up though. Good, and then release. And then the other arm behind you. Up with no arms? Shit. Good, and then release. Now, I'm supposed to respect the earth in shoulder stand. So I know the up and the down, right? And I got this weird where all of a sudden I don't have arms, right? So I'm going to take the other arm behind me. I'm going to open right here. I'm going to drop my chin. Wait. Up, down. Good. And then release. And then the other side. Up, down in humility. Staying connected to the earth. Good. And then release. Now both arms. Oh, crap. Apparently, I've got a fusion between my shoulder blades. What the hell? So what am I going to do? Am I going to try to force this pose? Nah. What I'm going to do instead, so I have a hard time getting my shoulders back when both arms are back. Instead of trying to crank the shit out of that, because that'd be like crashing my head into the bone of my fusion, right? I'm going to go, I think I'm going to get subtler. I'm going to drop my shoulder blades. I'm going to spread them to start the movement of awareness of the skin from the midline out to the front of my shoulder. So I'm going to do this without force. I'm going to do it by moving the skin on the front of my chest across while dropping my shoulder blades. And then release. Now, just because I'm naughty, right? My own practice, I'm going to do it wrong. I don't think you should do it wrong for a second, but I'm going to remember what my will wants to do. Right? I don't want to do that. In fact, that made me dizzy. That sucked. Right? I lost connection to the room. Again, I'm going to figure out how to use the skin between my front and back body. And as I do and I'm more subtle, does anyone feel their sitting bones better? And their feet better? What the hell? You mean there's a softer part of my pose? I'm going to honor that and drop my chin. As I drop my chin, the intensity of my chest lifts. I watch my sitting bones. I feel my feet. I keep lifting the sternum, dropping the chin. I go inward and I nourish. You don't nourish if you're trying too hard. Good, and then release. Whew. Coming out of that one, what? Inside a shoulder stand? Oh, he's whispering again. The inside of shoulder stand, does that help? Okay. Inhale up. Exhale. Where's the middle? Revolve. But this time, as you don't squeeze the dish rag really hard. Make it gentle. Like squeeze your spine, twist it. But get that little bit of water without so much force. Good. And then release. Wait, so when I'm over here and I lift my chest and I drop in humility, there's kind of shoulder standing here. Wait. Seems so weird. Come back to center. Huh. Turn. Wait. Ground. Wait. The chest comes up. But I'm staying connected to the earth. Wait. Drop my chin. Wait. The spine lifts. Wait. I do that because it feels good, not because it's effort. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. I'm adding a gentle twist to my spine. Good, and then come on back to center. Be in the center. Forward. Back. I'm trying to, through some lightness, find my midline again, because I'm going to rest it. I'm going to let my spine be held up by my chair. Right? In order to really be supported, I have to find my own empty spaces, right? Which is exactly what the mind is afraid of, right? I don't know about you, but my mind often avoids what exactly my body needs. Right? I don't know. Maybe that's not your problem. Maybe that's just mine. Oh, am I talking soft again? So instead of doing a whole back bend, I'm going to anchor my chest and lengthen the skin, lengthen the back of my neck. And I could have just said, oh, gentle like a flower, take your head back. I don't think so. This is intense. Good. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go like, huh. I'm going to anchor again. I'm going to anchor. I'm going to ground. I'm going to find hope as I let the skin breathe, as I do a mini back bend. Huh. And I'm going to come back. And as I come back, I'm going to make sure the coming back travels right down the middle. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go skyward, keep my chest anchored in the earth, lift the skin, lengthen the front of the chest, lengthen the back of it. Stay earthed as the center of my chest goes up. As in Shavasana, then I'm going to release. Watch what happens when I release. I'm going to let myself notice my exhale a couple times. Then I'm going to start to feel my chair. I'm going to let it touch both the weight of my body and the lightness of the rise. I'm going to let the chair hold up both aspects of me. My lightness and my rootedness. You're going to find that's easy if you're sitting evenly and symmetrical in your chair. It's easier. So I'm making sure both feet, both sitting bones, both lungs, my scalp, both sides of my neck, met by the chair. Soften the skin on the face, the jaw, the inside of the mouth. Chair and the support moves through me while it grounds. You mean there's a home here? Yeah. Always. There's a home. Feel your breath. Without changing. Practice that. Practice the observer. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly deeper inhalation. Slightly longer exhalation. Thank your body again. And again. And again. It already solved the problem that your mind struggles with. Your body already animates. When you're ready, open your eyes. It's too much, close them again. You get to end a pose, you get to control. Your agency is in your body. And then open them again. All right. I like am always it's remarkable for me, like simple lines that come through my head often when I'm coming out of Shavasana, like, I can't believe that it hums me. I don't hum it. Right? Like it hums me. Like I'm the actual receptacle, receiver. Right? I'm not actually the author. Right? And it's like, that doesn't seem that scary. Except my mind later in the day, it's going to actually be worried about the edges again, what's happening and not happening. It's going to remember all this other stuff. But in the simplest moment, you were always open. Right? That never changes. Ever. And the silent Om is perpetual. All these things. There's an unchanging part of you. And everything changes. It doesn't seem that confusing when I come out of a yoga practice. It seems really confusing when I'm taken in by my day. Right? When I'm held hostage by the events of my day. All right. Keep it simple, stupid. That's why I practice. Hands together. Namaste. Spirit in me bows the spirit in you.